listening to the After Five podcast. So listen up, bitch.
What up? What up? Thank you, everyone, for joining us back here on the After Five podcast. We got a special podcast today. As always, I'm joined by my life partner, Luis. What's up, Lou? Life partner in friendship, 30 plus years. And we got a new, we got a special guest host today. It's my really good friend of mine, a guy whose opinion I respect and admire. I always go to this guy for any questions or moral guidance of whenever I need it. But all in all, a really good friend of mine, Mr. Mike Iglesias. What up, Mikey?
Hey, how's it going, man? You're too kind. Making me feel like I'm 60 years old or something over here.
Yeah, well,
gotta grow my beard.
I mean, mister.
Well, look at his background, man. The dude looks like he's somewhere in Singapore, exploring his inner self. You know, no TV, no nothing, just
Yeah, right.
you know. This is the first time he's spoken in 3 weeks to anyone. Just kind of the what is it? The ashram? Where does the dudes go to get that?
This is an ashram.
Ashram,
Dedicated meditation spot.
A lot of yoga.
You know what his background looks like? It reminds me of Sosa from Scarface. Sosa's house.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. So how are you doing, Mike? What's been going on throughout these last few weeks of the? You're the only one on this panel right now with no kids.
Yeah, no, it's been interesting to say the least. I'm working from home, so I spend 90% of my time just hanging out at home. And so I don't know if you remember that scene from I Am Legend where Will Smith is just like brutally working out every morning, like on the treadmill, doing pull-ups, getting ready for zombies. So I have a pull-up bar set up on one of my door frames. And, just to play a game with myself, anytime I pass through the door frame, I have to pay the price of 10 pull-ups.
I just did that. Dude, a holler back because I just did that like 3 weeks ago. And for me, it's been nonstop by the bedroom. I do 50, 60 pull-ups a day.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So both of you could kiss my ass. Bro. I haven't done a pull-up and I don't know how to knock. I've been doing that. I've been knocking out the push-ups. I have the rower in the garage, but the pull-ups, I haven't done a pull-up in a while.
The thing with the pull-ups is that I've always done them since I was little. I got up to one time that I would do 30. But like I stopped for a long time, and when I went to the gym, I can only do 4. And it was like getting yourself back and saying, you just do 4, try to do 5 tomorrow, try to do 5, try to do 6, little by little. But they're awesome. You do it, you get into that, and you feel so like, wow.
The really cool thing about doing pull-ups is that you're working out a muscle group that very rarely gets worked on a day-to-day basis. We're usually doing pushing exercises. We're pushing off of things. And so we end up having really tight pec muscles. And so that makes us round our shoulders and have this kind of hunched look. But if you do pull-ups, you're doing the opposite. And so I've actually noticed myself being able to sit up straight because now my back muscles are getting tighter. And I'm trying not to do any push-ups. If anything, I do some presses, like shoulder presses. Right. But it feels great, man. At first, I was struggling to do 10 pull-ups. And now I could, it's like nothing.
It's awesome. And you feel good after because you're like, oh, shit, I just did 10 pull-ups. And you feel it everywhere. You feel it in your core. You feel it in your back. You feel it in your shoulder. You feel it everywhere.
But what do you guys have? You guys have that pull-up that you just attach to the door frame?
Mm-hmm. You put a little metal clip on it just in case, and then you just rest it on there. You make sure everything's on tight. What's that?
The little metal clip is in the off chance that you go the wrong way, you get too much momentum, and then you bust your ass.
Exactly. If you're trying to do like gymnastics on it, it's gonna fuck up. There's not to do gymnastics. Right?
Well, what scares me about that there's plenty of videos online of people busting their ass on those door frames, those door frame pullers,
because they forgot the little metal clip.
Exactly.
Yeah, honestly,
that's what it's there. that's where if there's a screw still left over, you got to figure out where the fuck that screw goes. That's not like when you're trying to build your kids, icy castle or some shit like that. Fuck it, that was an extra screw.
Yeah, there's a reason they come with instruction manuals, and they say please read all instructions thoroughly before use.
Right.
And
they give it to you in 5 different languages.
Yeah.
In English, Portuguese, and Chinese, everything. You really got to be going there.
We're never happy because then we get an IKEA instruction manual and we're pissed as fuck that there's no words on there.
Yeah, there's no words. It's just a little man. It's like, build this here, build. They should actually have, in my opinion, instructions when they have them in like 5 languages. They should have one in sarcasm. It's like, if you don't use this screw, you deserve to get your eye gouged out. If you,
right.
This spring is extra. Some
of the IKEA stuff is like, after you build this chair, you have exactly 1,000 hours on this chair for life. So if you sit on it for hours, you're gonna bust your ass up to 1,000 hours.
Listen, that doesn't apply to kids, man. I've had the same cell phone for 2 years now. My son had his cell phone for 3 months and already broke it, and he's 19 years old. So I think all that the life expectancy of certain products all depends on the fucking human. I can have a phone for 4 years and that shit will just last me, or a chair or anything. His shit, he has his new phone and it already has like a crack on the actual, like the screen protector. He says it was there before.
I guarantee you the day he starts paying for his own cell phone.
That what?
I guarantee you the day he starts paying for his own cell phone, he's going to take a lot better care of it.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Listen, he had 4 iPads throughout all of high school. Every single year that iPad cracked. It was all beat to shit, broken down. Once he has to pay for his own iPads, you'll see. Like you said, once they start realizing how many hours equals X amount of money, which then you could buy X, product with, then they'll start being like, oh shit, I don't need $140 sneakers. These $75 sneakers at the Nike factory are just fine.
Get what you need, not what you want.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's like this book that we're reading, Mike and I, that it kind of talks about like fiscal responsibility and stuff like that, and like you have to do all these kind of like affirmations and shit, and like one of them for me is get what you need and not what you want, so to speak. Like be responsible with your money, and listen, living in the society that we live in, especially in Miami, what you need and what you want is a very fluid
exactly, yeah.
It's you lived it, Luis.
You know what? I lived it, but you may, like, people here get stuff just so they can impress and they can, for status purposes. Obviously, we know that. But back in the day, ask Josue, I've always had a passion for cars, always. And then people would think that I would buy the sexy cars that I had because I was trying to show off. And I get it, but I really don't. I used to buy them just out of passion. And I used to drive them, but I never, I just didn't flaunt it that way. I really enjoyed the car, and I would let the car sit for weeks at a time, and then would just by the time like I would sell them or get rid of them, like I would almost break even or make money on them, believe it or not.
Yeah, he legitimately had but that's true. But that you're an anomaly there.
Exactly.
Because you got the people that are buying.
To drive any of the Teslas?
What was that?
What?
Have you had a chance to test drive any of the Teslas?
I wish, dude. I wish. I'm dying to drive that car.
I have a buddy of mine who recently got I believe it's the Model S with the sports package on it.
The big one?
Yeah, it was a 4-door sedan.
That's crazy. That car full.
It went 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds, and he's like, we're just driving around. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. It's like a spaceship. He steps on the gas. He's like, watch this. So we go on the highway. And we're rolling at like 30 miles an hour, and he steps on the gas. It literally feels like you're falling forward. I've been skydiving, and so I know what free fall speed feels like. It was more than free fall speed.
Crazy.
Like that?
I'm dying to drive that car, dude.
Not only that, but it because it's an electric motor, there's no delay. So it's like sniffs your foot pressing, and so at the millisecond it adjusts, and so it has perfect traction. The wheels don't spin out.
It's like you're on rails. It's like you're on a train. It's like you're like when you go on one of the rides, like on Space Mountain, and you go straight down. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, That's exactly what it is. It's
crazy.
an on-demand space roller coaster.
Doesn't it have a button that's like berserk or super duper?
Yeah, ludicrous mode.
Ludicrous. That's what it is. Super duper.
And
Super
then
duper
Ludacris
fast.
pops up on the screen and starts singing Cadillac Grills, Cadillac Grills.
And you know what it is? You know what's cool about that? That they're actually affordable. They're not absurdly priced. Like Elon. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. For what they do. Luis, you had a Porsche back in the day that did 0 to 60 in 4 point something seconds. 3?
3.5 seconds. It was ridiculous.
And that's $100,000 car. The Tesla S isn't $100,000 car. Like the Tesla S.
Yeah, it is.
It's about a $60,000 car.
That's the S. The smaller models like ranges between 40 and 60 grand. But if you want the big boy, the one that does 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds or 2.5 seconds, that one's like between 80 and 120 grand. The big boy. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it. I mean, you could pay 55 G's on. Oh, you can't lease those though, right? It's
You
a.
can. Absolutely.
You can? I
Absolutely.
thought they were purchases.
No. You lease them.
Shit. Well, I like my truck, man. Fuck that. I'll
No,
get my
and
truck.
if you pass by the dealership here by my house off of Bird and 37th Avenue, it's just like you drive by it and it looks like you look at the other dealership. Yeah, they look cool as fuck. But you look at this one and it looks like the dealership of tomorrow. You just something about it just gets your attention. You're like, something about that place. Even if you're not into cars, you're like, there's just something about it. You know?
Not a speck of dust on the floor. They don't even give you like real donuts and shit. It's like space food, like the little packets that you just squeeze into your fucking mouth. That's like here.
The cars are on the whole
Chocolate
time.
cake.
It's like
That's the cool shit about Tesla.
Crazy.
The fact, I mean, you know what worries me about that? Like if you have an emergency and let's say you drove that shit all day, you forgot to plug it in when you got home, and then you have like 5% battery life left, and you got to fucking haul ass to a hospital somewhere. It's not like the Volt that has like a small gas tank.
you can download. If you have an emergency, you can download from the app or something. They charge you and they like fucking wire you or app. I don't transfer you, however you want to do it. Power. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
They can transfer you power.
Absolutely. Right, look
Mike,
it up.
have you heard that, Mike?
I haven't heard that yet, but I wouldn't imagine that it's going to be that difficult to do that. It's just
email
it's a
you
battery to
power?
another battery.
No, they locate the car. I don't know exactly because I don't work for Tesla, but I've heard that they locate the car. You locate the service, press yes, pay X amount of dollars, whatever, and they charge the car virtually some way, somehow. Just like Mercedes back in the days, they still do it. They can unlock your car from wherever the place is if you lock yourself out.
You know what I think that is? I think that it comes with an automatic 55-mile spare charge that's already saved in the system, like, or in the battery pack, that is only for that. So it's like, all right, you have, the 95% that list at 100% that you use, and then they have that 5% that is for emergencies that you have to fucking call and pay money for, and it unlocks it. And that's what, because to send that shit, like, again, I don't know science like that, man.
Bookmark this conversation so we can talk about it in the next podcast, because that is true, and I did hear about that. It's a service they provide, and we'll follow it up just to make sure. Like, I don't want to make it seem like I'm making shit up as I go.
Where's Judy with our research and development? She hungover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was her husband's birthday yesterday, so Judy's still trying to recover, man. She still wanted to come on, but I was like, no, shit. I don't even think I texted her. I think I might have forgotten to text her and tell her, take the weekend off there, buddy. Like, she's gonna be on this shit, hair all fucked up, still burping. But yeah, happy birthday to her husband, Alex. Yeah, Alex, I don't know how old he turned. Younger than me, that's for damn sure.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not sure if you guys have been following the news. I was just having a conversation with my wife about this earlier, and it's just because the video came out. Univision doesn't give three fucks, man. It's funny how Spanish media is so much like the European media, where we're very censored here in the U.S. Like, our media, there's certain things that they're not going to show. Spanish media doesn't give a fuck. So down here, there was a young boy, Alejandro Ripley, whose mother earlier this week, she claimed that two black men, kidnapped her son. Just summarize the story. That two black men kidnapped her son, and the next day he was found dead. They bring her in. Turns out she had actually been the one to take him to a canal and push him in for the second time that day. And, the boy drowned, and God rest his soul. Then cops figure out that I guess they get an anonymous tip, or not even anonymous. Someone called them that they had video of her pushing the boy in earlier in the day into a canal, and a good Samaritan saved him. So, on Facebook and Instagram, you see everybody with the comments, and I don't know how to feel about it. I'm not defending it, and I'm not defending her actions, but I don't know how to feel. I mean, you guys could probably shed some light on this. I don't know how to feel about the way she's being crucified, and deservingly so. I mean, she committed a heinous act, but I don't think you can be so quick to judge unless you've walked them out in a person's shoes. And someone who has a child with special needs, those parents are different humans than us. Like, they deal with a lot more than we do. And especially during these times, man, where these kids are just our kids that don't have any special needs are with us all day. And there's times where we're like pulling our fucking hair out, and for the most part, we can, our kids can use deductive reasoning. Our kids can reason with us, or we can reason with them. I spend my day fucking reasoning with my children more than I should. But I think this lady snapped. I think this lady went nuts. She did what she did. It was terrible. I'm not defending that, but it's pretty funny how people are so quick to show you how much better of a human being they are than this person by just fucking crucifying her. And again, rightfully so. But I don't think we should be that quick to judge because so far no one who knows her has come out to say a negative thing about her. Like, oh yeah, she's been mean to him or evil to him. We saw that. We had warned people, because usually when a child dies or when a child's killed, there are warning signs. Like, there's multiple calls to DCF. There's witnesses and parents. Oh, the kid used to come to school beat up or smelly or whatever. With this kid, everybody was like, even the old teachers, the former teachers were like, man, we would have never have thought that this was going to happen to him, because his parents were so loving and caring, especially his mom.
I don't know, man. My take on it is, dude, have your patience, be ready for it, prepare yourself, be smart. There's no way that you could sit here and tell me that this happens very often. It doesn't happen very often. It happens, but not very often. Mm-mm. And at the same time, you put the kid up for adoption. Don't sit here and tell me that your goal is to, like, the worst thing you're going to do is, and she did it the worst way, the worst suffering way you can kill somebody. She drowned them. The hell is that, dude? Absolutely not. I honestly wish, and I hate to be, I get really under my skin. I honestly wish that lady would have killed herself. Honestly, because now we have to pay the court and we have to go through the whole process, and she's going to get the death penalty. Absolutely. And that's going to cost a fuckload of money. And I honestly, that's my take. I mean, if it was up to me, that's how, there's no excuse for that. In my court, she's guilty and she gets a death penalty on the spot. Sorry.
Who's got that Singapore court?
It's true, man. There's no way that
Philippine court.
The Philippine court. There is the Philippine court. They don't fucking play.
And it's funny because if you're in Singapore, they'll kill her in 6 months. Right or wrong?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because on the one hand, I think that anyone who publicly speaks on...
Hold on 1 second. Did your air conditioner break?
I just had to turn on the fan, yeah. I feel like someone turned that shit off.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting because on the one hand, I think the most salient thing that stands out to me is that anytime someone speaks publicly in the media, or a prominent figure talks about it and gets quoted on Twitter, it seems like the general audience expectation is that everyone needs to have a strong opinion immediately on the spot. You can't go back on your answer. You better get it right. And if you don't, we're going to lynch you for saying the wrong thing. And it's not just about this. I mean, obviously in this one, it's a little bit easier to side with the innocent kid because, it's an autistic kid who's basically getting backstabbed by his own mother, and so it's obvious in this case. But there's many cases where a story comes out, the facts have not been verified yet. It's just kind of the general impression when it first comes out. and eventually all the virtue signalers come out and say, oh yeah, this is the right way to look at it, and this is the wrong way to look at it. If you have the wrong way to look at it, you're an evil person, and you should also be XYZ punishment. But yeah, I mean, I think obviously, yeah, she deserves to get tried in court and all that. At the same time, it'd be interesting to see what was going on in her head. It would be interesting to get her side of the story, to get some trained psychologist. I mean, I think Josue was telling me earlier that she's actually a psychologist. That's her profession. Yep. That's where the plot twist comes in. She's supposed to have all the tools to be able to deal with stress and anxiety and all these, cognitive biases that lead people astray and fool them. And yet it's just a human being that made a huge mistake that I'm sure that no matter what punishment the public can give her, I'm sure in her head, she's never going to be able to sleep again, ever again. I mean, she gave birth to the kid. I mean, think about how terrible that must be. So
gave birth to him. And already, I mean, we God entrusts us to take care of our children. When he blesses us with them, we are the parents. We're the ones that are supposed to make sure that they're always looked out after. They're always taken care of. But then when you have a special needs child, that's a whole different ball game where that's extra care. That's extra attention.
She knew that. It's not like it would just happen, during quarantine. I mean, she.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think that, and again, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate too. I mean, ironically enough, to a certain extent, where how much of this is quarantine related, where a lot of these parents, man, all of a sudden they're asked to spend all this time with these kids where I don't know, but for all you know, she would drop them off at 8 a.m. and pick them up at 5 p.m, 6 p.m. And then she's just putting them to bed or spending some, little quality time with them.
3 hours a day with them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And now you're spending 24 hours a day with this kid. So with your kid. So whatever. I mean, again, it's tough. And what Mike was saying, how her being a psychologist, it's almost like she has those tools. She preaches those tools technically, to a certain extent. We don't know what kind of psychologist she was, but you would almost think she should know better. But then again, how many cardiologists don't you know that weigh 300 pounds? Like fat as fuck.
Smoke.
Yeah, Mike, you said it earlier when we were speaking. What is it about humans are more likely to follow a prescription?
You're more likely to follow through. Yeah, to follow. So if you're a pet, if you have a dog that you love, and your dog is sick, you take him to the vet. The vet says, okay, just give him this medication once a day for the next month, every single day.
Come in.
Most people will follow through and give the medication on time every single day for 30 days. And those same people, if you go to the doctor and they give you, antibiotics, take this for 14 days, even if your symptoms are better, take it every day until the very last day, because, all the reasons, like there could still be a small colony of bacteria, even though you have no symptoms. So you need to go through the whole medication. And, it's been shown, the data is out where people, you'll take it. And at the 7th day, halfway through, you're going, I feel good. I don't need to take this bullshit. Like
Everybody
I'm
does
good.
That.
I'm sure a lot of us have in our little boutiquing, the little medicine cabinet, we have a bunch of little leftover antibiotics that we never finished.
Bunch of amoxicillin, man. I have amoxicillin backed up.
Yeah. So, and that's what
it's funny you bring up the boutiquing thing, because I remember, just real quick, back in the day, like you'd open a medicine cabinet up now and everything is, it has a label with a bunch of, instructions. Back in the day, when you would see like an old show or something on the cartoons where they open the medicine cabinet, there's a bunch of skulls. My grandmother's, I opened it one day and she had 3 or 4 of them that had skulls on them with 3 letters. Do not take this. Okay. It's true. True story, by the way.
So talking about medicine with skulls, I read an article today. It was actually a meme where this lady, she described, she was experiencing what people call stank vagina. And she was looking for home remedies to cure this. And she read somewhere that if she took some, what do you call that? Those capsules that people put up their butts, suppository, but it was a vaginal suppository of boric acid. Oh. Boric acid, right? Rat poison or roach poison, whatever it is. But I'm guessing it's a medical grade, like different concentration of it. And it's supposed to get rid of the smell for women.
And whatever, whoever's prescribing it's making money on it, so just fucking do it anyways.
Apparently it works. I had no idea when I read that. Like my girlfriend showed it to me, and I was like, "Are you serious? Who's dumb enough to put rat poison?" But yeah, apparently it's a legitimate treatment. Gynecologists prescribe this all the time, and I wonder, they probably don't have skulls on those prescriptions. Right?
Well,
it's kind of the same reason why they don't call it. They used to call life insurance. They used to call it death insurance. You might as well call it life insurance because death insurance no one's gonna buy.
Sounds a lot better as life insurance. Well, we were talking about it a few episodes ago, when Donald Trump had made the comment about disinfectants and shit like that, and people thought that he meant to put it in their bloodstream or to ingest it. How I did some research. Lysol initially was being used as a douche for women.
When you say initially, you're talking about in the 1800s or
when Lysol first started. It was a feminine hygiene product. It was used for feminine hygiene. And then obviously, a gynecologist at some point was like, yeah, no, you're destroying the inside of your body. But you know what? My dog keeps hitting, and it really pisses me off that there's so many people out there right now, and none of them are giving a shit that my dog is doing what he's doing.
What?
What is he shitting on the carpet?
No, man. He starts hitting the door, the sliding glass door in the back to get in, and it starts vibrating all the fucking walls because he's like 60 pounds and just like don't. So I keep thinking someone's knocking on the bedroom door here, and no, it's that asshole messing up my fucking show.
Just go and tie him up, dude, for a little bit. Just put him in. You have a cage for him? Don't you like cage train?
Yeah, he's crate trained. But I feel bad because he loves to chill in that cage. He's like an old wolf and shit. Like, just loves to be in his dark cage by himself. Like, he'll go in there. Like, we'll have him sometimes loose in the house. And like, where is he? He's in the cage. Like, he goes in there, like, shuts the door behind him and shit. And it's like, nobody talk to me for a little bit. I'm gonna rest. Oh man. All right. So listen, on a lighter note, Memorial Day's tomorrow. It's rainy as fuck. We're just slowly getting out of quarantine. Anybody got plans for tomorrow for Memorial Day?
Barbecue.
Yoga class. 9:15.
Yoga class? A Memorial Day
sir.
yoga? Like, you're a hippie at heart, bro.
Let me tell you, man. Yoga has cured a lot of weird, stiff,
It's true, man.
situations that I've had. Like, especially like around the hips and the lower back. Man, getting these poses that some of these ladies get into, I'm like, man, I have no idea how they do it every day, but I've been getting into some yoga lately.
It's good.
And it's amazing.
I have to get into it because I have I have really bad posture, and I've been having a bad back since I was a teenager.
Yeah, this guy's had the back of a 60-year-old since we were kids.
Bro, terrible.
And the bladder of one too. Like, to go out drinking with this guy, drinking beers, especially if you're in a car driving somewhere, terrible. You have to bring water bottles with you.
If I drink 2 beers, forget it. An hour later,
that's it. And then once he breaks the seals, like every 10 minutes, this guy has to piss. Forget drinking on the way to Orlando or some shit, like water bottles or any of that shit. No, fuck that.
That's why I've gotten used to drinking like expensive scotch. I drink like 2 of them. That's a little bit, and that's it. I can't drink. Like, I'm drinking beer now because I haven't drank beer in months. I swear. And it's like I just wanted to drink a beer. But I usually just drink, like, I just can't. I mean, enjoy it, but it's just going to the bathroom and pain in the ass.
As I've gotten older, my body doesn't agree with beer the same way. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Like Corona, Bud Light, but like the other day, like Heineken, one of my all-time favorite beers. And I feel like God has a sense of humor. I can't drink Heineken anymore. I drink Heineken immediately. I start like burping and like upset stomach. The green lizard doesn't agree with me anymore, man. Can't fucking do it. Mike, you're still a young buck, bro. You could drink whatever the fuck you want.
Mike, how old are you, by the way? Just find out.
I'm 32.
Oof, man.
Poopy.
So I've been getting into. I pretty much I try to stick to wine and ciders, and the ciders. I switch back and forth between. I mean, some ciders can be like 9%, but the cool thing about ciders is, I mean, you may or may not know this, but so apples, right? Ciders come from apples. But apples are interesting because when we think of apples, we think of like the 5 varieties you find at Publix. It's actually what they call monoculture. So you have the red apples, you have the green, like the Granny Smith apples, you have the, what is it, the candy, whatever, the really like bright, shiny green apples. And you have a couple more, like some yellow ones. But if you actually go out into nature, like where apples first started in like Kazakhstan, basically, they all taste different, and most of them are bitter. They're not sweet. Like if you bite into an apple in the wild, every tree is different. And so what these guys who make ciders is they went around with like a field of apple trees, and they went around trying them, and they're like, oh, this is gross. Trying another one, oh, it's gross. When they find one that they like, they save the way that they propagate these trees. It's the same tree over and over and over again. It's a clone of it, basically.
Oh.
And so that's why, like, if you go and like today, I went to a burger joint and I had a woodchuck. You ever had the woodchuck Granny Smith?
No.
It's one of the ciders. And,
Hold on, before anything, did you wear your mask? And say the truth.
Did I wear my mask?
Yes.
I don't have a mask, unfortunately.
Oh boy, this guy.
No, well,
I think he's coming back on the show.
the only mask I have. Well, my girlfriend's a nurse, so she has a mask for me. So whenever we have to go to places that require masks, like Costco right now requires a mask, I'll wear it. But honestly, I mean, unless I'm going to a very crowded place, I'm not wearing a mask.
Yeah, we went yesterday to get lemonade, and we weren't wearing masks. I forgot what's the lemonade place in Coconut Grove, Luis?
Oh, I forgot the guy's name. Right there.
AC's Ices. Yeah, the cool guy.
Here's the thing. Here's my thing about masks. You know, like if you study biology and you look at the size of different things, if you're gonna get at scale the holes in your mask versus the size of a virus particle, it'd be like comparing a chain link fence hole and a mosquito. Mosquito's going to go through that chain link fence like night and day. It's the same thing for a virus. Virus doesn't get around like that easily. So the N95 masks that actually can block virus particles, first of all, you have to get professionally fitted for them. What they do is there's different size masks. There's large, medium, small. You put it on, you go into a room where they have a spray bottle with like a sweet taste to it, where when they spray this water, it's sweet. And then you're supposed to like inhale through your mouth with the mask on, and they spray this in your face. And if you can taste the sweetness, then the virus is going to get through that mask. And so, you know, and even then, I mean, it can get in your eyeballs, get in your nose, like
on your clothes, you wipe your face, your eyes.
That's exactly it. So, I mean,
so Luis, fuck your mask.
I'm not gonna wear a mask.
I have an M95 that I bought when I was sanding my staircase. I bought like 3 of them. I still have it, and I use it every now and then because my wife works at the hospital and she's paranoid as fuck with that.
So what would be better, a handkerchief over your face?
It depends on what you're trying to do. Like, what if you're trying to appear safe and make people feel more comfortable, who believe that actually works and protects against viruses, and sure, wear the mask for appearances, but it's not effective against preventing you from contracting a virus or shedding a virus. Virus is going to get through either way.
It's tough. Really quick, getting back to the apples. Do they have alcohol in them?
The apples?
The cider.
Excuse me 1 second.
Yes. So the cider that I had was...
I thought it was virgin cider, bro. I was like, what the fuck?
Woodchuck Amber, Woodchuck Granny Smith.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, check it out. Next time you go to like a brewery or any place that has like a lot of beers, you know, they have the IPAs, they have the, you know, the stouts, and they have all different kinds of beers. There's a section on ciders.
I have a woodchuck.
And it's usually a lot smaller of a list. I mean, if you're having like, if they have 10 different kind of IPAs, they might only have 2 different kind of ciders. But it's great. I mean, it's a little bit more sour. Have you ever had kombucha?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you know how
I love kombucha.
Yeah, they're supposed to card you when you buy kombucha because it actually has alcohol in it.
You get
it's like
it does have alcohol. That's true. It was fermented just like alcohol, right? Just like yeast or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, you'd have to drink a few kombuchas to even feel like I could barely finish one.
Let me tell you something. If you wake up in the morning and you don't eat anything, you just have water, and you're fasted, and you go to work and you're hanging out, you haven't had any breakfast, and let's say it's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're fasting and you haven't had any food, you've been up for 6 hours, you drink a full kombucha bottle, like the ones that they sell at Publix or, you know, wherever, you drink 12, 16 ounces of kombucha, you're going to feel a buzz, unless you're like an alcoholic and have a high tolerance. But if you're a lightweight, if you don't drink that much, if all you have is like a drink or two every now and then, or
That
whatever it
makes
is.
Like me.
Yeah.
This guy over here.
Lewis, if you were to fast one morning and and then at like 12 o'clock at noon, you break your fast with, you know, a tall glass of kombucha, it has enough alcohol in it to give you a light buzz.
Oh, shit.
And he weighs 140 pounds.
No.
How much are you weighing, Luis?
175.
Oh shit! Damn, look at that.
Oh, he's got me beat.
This dude was 150 like 2 years ago.
Just like, yeah. And
The second he started doing
legs.
legs, I think the key was legs. Once he started doing leg press and shit like that, he started gaining weight.
No, my thing was natural, dude. I mean, I've gone through cycles that you know, like in high school. Remember when we graduated high school? I was 128 pounds, bro. I didn't go over 128, and I worked.
How tall are you, Luis? 5'9"?
Between 5'9" and 5'10". 5'9" and a half, 5'9" and 3/4.
And a fucking 30 waist. He has a smaller waist than my wife.
No, those days are over,
Well,
dude.
I mean, I mean, men are going to have smaller waist than women, of course. Women have to, you know, pass new humans. You know, they have the original 3D printer in between their waist.
The original 3D printer is their box.
Yeah, man.
My legs are the ones that got fat because my legs have always been like skinnier than my arms. And I just started putting weight on my legs, and I got really, really heavy. But I've always been asking. I've always been like, until I was 32, 33, like your age, 140, between 140 and 150. I was a twig.
That's Mike's epic battle since I met him. Fucking how many years? A few, like 4 or 5 years ago. What is that? 2017, 18, something like that. 3 or 4 years ago. Mike's always on that battle to gain the weight. I would be so frustrated. I'm always on that battle to lose the fucking weight.
Be natural, bro. Be natural and I refuse to take any
the steroids.
Like PEDs or any supplements or anything. I've never found I've tried even the ones like the weight gainers. You take them and it destroys my stomach for 2 days. So I just fuck it. Dude.
This dude started gaining weight and started ripping through shirts at work. Mike started like ripping the elbows of shirts. He started like making them short sleeve shirts and shit.
Yeah, well, I was forcing myself to eat for breakfast a giant bowl of oatmeal, blueberries, and I was packing 3,500 calories a day. Oof. And so I was gaining weight fast. I was gaining like 5 pounds a month, and after 4 months, I was up 20 pounds. I was at 180, and I would sit down, and you know how if you're sitting down on your desk, your elbows start touching on the desk. Well, eventually, like your elbow's hard. And so is a desk. So that little piece of cloth, I mean, poor piece of cloth. I wouldn't want to be that. After so many months, so many thousand times you're just hitting that, I started like just ripping right here on the corner of the elbow, just rah. And I was like, damn, I'm getting I ended up ripping like 5 shirts
Hulk
in like
bullshit.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, he had one of the girls at work like, damn. Mike couldn't be alone with her. She was always chasing him. I'm not going to say names. It was like the reverse Pepe Le Pew. Boy, Mike was running away. Like, leave me alone. Oh, man. All right. Let me not throw Mike's business out there, guys.
So let's throw out there. I wanted to talk about the positives of the quarantine. Does anybody have any positives or no? Anything that stands out that you can say, shit, you know, I went through this shit, you know, besides saving money, because we've all saved money. But just something that sticks out and you're like, oh shit, you know, it's like, this is the one good
that's a huge positive. That's a huge positive right there. I think the fact that like we didn't have for a while the option to just go out to relieve stress. You know, not only do you save money, but you actually are faced with the fact that like, all right, what else am I going to do to entertain myself and to relieve stress rather than just go out and spend money and have drinks? Right. And, you know, it's interesting because, on the one hand, you can succumb to like social media, and you can just scroll through Instagram all day and just have all this mind-numbing stimulation. You can put on a documentary on Netflix. Might not be the most interesting thing, but you might learn something. I've been going on walks lately at night. I'll just go for like an hour walk, whether it's, with my girlfriend or with my dog or by myself. I'll just go for a walk for an hour, like during the sunset time. It's really nice.
Nice.
In that rainforest behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you who are listening, we're on Zoom, and shout out to Zoom. And Mike has like a rainforest behind him, which is obviously not his background. Like that, he does not live in the rainforest. But he starts talking about going for walks, and I'm like, where in the fuck back there in that mountain, in that hillside of fucking trees? And I'm getting raped by a gaggle of fucking gorillas.
Yeah, it's actually a picture of an Airbnb, like a cement warehouse, but with a lot of windows in Bali. And so the inside is decorated. The interior design's got many different trees, got like a little bamboo forest, a little palm tree, and it's like probably a 10-foot palm tree. And, what I like about it is that I think the subconscious mind evolved in a background of nature. And so now that we live in a concrete jungle and we get into our cars and we have, 4 walls around us and all that stuff, there's something relaxing when you get to have plants around you. So, but the thing is, there's also a lot of annoying parts about nature too. I recently bought this plant. It's a pretty big plant. It was, like something I just went to Lowe's and I was like, oh, I'm just going to get a big plant. And so I had it inside, and all of a sudden I started having these fruit flies just mating inside that plant. Like, just like, it was like a breeding ground. It's like, I just opened up a fruit fly motel.
And those fuckers are annoying too.
I'm not kidding you. I was swatting 10 to 20 fruit flies a day.
And it was because of that plant.
It was because there is no other variable that changed in that time period. I mean, sure, I have bananas. I have a fruit basket, but it's never been this bad. And
it's the plant. We have plants on our terrace, and it was the same thing. Before we didn't have mosquitoes or flies or anything. All of a sudden, we start making that shit an oasis, and there's fucking fruit flies and like mosquitoes and plants everywhere. Plants and flies.
So you started making time for a good walk. No, I'm serious. I mean, that's that's one of the positives that you got, right?
Right. Walk.
Yeah.
I think that's big though, and my older ones, they split time between our house and their mom's house. And one thing that they've been doing with their mom, I mean, she works like me. She works every day, and we would go into an office every day. And now she's working from home, and they actually have taken on a little, they kind of like a tradition where they go for walks every day together, the 3 of them, which is cool because I was a little jealous actually. Like, shit, I wish I would have thought about that. And I've been wanting to implement the walks, and it sucks because I haven't been able to, but something like that, like those walks where you could just you're walking, you're talking, especially if you're going with someone else, and like to me that's pretty intimate, man. You're just you're kind of going for a walk. There's nobody else. There's no one bothering you, and you're just talking shit. Yeah, and that was pretty cool. I mean, with me spending so much more time with the family, it's definitely been a positive and kind of very eye opening because my wife had already been homeschooling the kids for a couple of years. So to see her every day, and mind you, she runs her own business from home. So she works 60 hours a week, basically. When you work for yourself, you don't have any days off. So to see the good and the bad of having to deal with the kids at home and all the crazy shit, I mean, to me, it was a blessing because I fully understand now, like the shit that she was dealing with, and then being able to help as much as I can and stuff like that. But that to me, that's probably one of the biggest positives from quarantine. That and becoming more introspective. Like now, like I've forced myself to have a routine from the morning, from the moment I wake up to when I go to bed. I mean, kind of in the middle of the day or towards the end of the day, when you have kids, routine is key. But sometimes you're going to bed a little bit later, or sometimes they have dance or they have this. So I can't, I can't be, like fucking Rain Man, completely stuck on my damn routine. But I try to have a Rain Man-esque routine every day. I run on routine, but that definitely spending more time with them has been the positive. And you could hear them laughing and giggling in the background, but they don't give a fuck we're doing a podcast.
No respect. No respect in the house.
For me, it's been mostly, patience. Like I said, it was like we've been talking before. It's the whole, you don't realize that you only see your family on a regular day before this should happen for a wait time, for 3-4 hours a day. All of a sudden that 3-4 hours turns into 12 hours. And, you test the patients again, you get to see everything they do. And the other thing that I've been doing, like he said originally, like Mike said, was walking. And for the past 2 weeks, I've been going to the golf course in Coral Gables in Granada. And I've been doing those 2 golf courses, and it is, and I don't have to run because I hate running. So for now, I'm just walking them. It's like 2.5 miles. And again, like you said, you're at peace with yourself. The only thing you got to worry about is some dummy there hit you with a golf ball while you're walking.
Well, you're the dummy there because you're walking on their turf.
Bro, and the reason I stress the golf ball thing, and whether you guys believe this or not, I went to play golf, and I never play golf. I'm not a golfer. I played golf a handful of times in my whole life. And they invited me to play golf one day at the Biltmore. And I went, and I swear to you, I'm at the 5th or 6th hole, and all of a sudden, I'm about to, again, we all been pretty toasted up. We had been boozing for a while. And I'm about to hit, and all of a sudden, I get shanked by a ball that was hit 100 yards right on my chin.
Get the fuck out of here.
Swear to God. And I look, and there's no way that these guys could have pulled a prank on me because they're to the left of me. And I was like, what the flying fuck? And all of a sudden I touch my hand and there's blood everywhere. And it's like, and the guy who hit me, like, again, when you were like, I had been drinking for a while. And the guy who, you barely feel it. The guy who hit me, I was expecting him to like either apologize to me or just like, hey, it was a cut this small. It didn't require stitches or anything. I mean, I could have swallowed it. We're doing bad luck. And I was expecting the guy to say, hey, get me a beer or something. The guy said, hey, sorry, man, and just kept walking. I was like, son of a bitch.
Just like that?
Yeah. Sorry, man.
I think that's probably golf etiquette. Like, he probably screamed 4, and 4
He didn't
is
scream 4.
Didn't scream shit?
No. I mean, that was, okay, so that happened. So all of a sudden, we're done playing. We played 18 holes that day. We had a full fucking...
Jeez.
Yeah. It was fun, though, because we had drank like crazy, smoked cigars, the works. And all of a sudden, when we're leaving, we're packing up the car and getting the clubs ready to go back. And all of a sudden, some guy shanks a ball, bounces where the carts are, off the course, completely like by the pro shop. He hits a ball that goes like a what's it call it? Like one of those video games with the pinball machine.
Pinball.
Bah, 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 bah. Hits me in the back of the shoulder.
Hit you?
So I got hit with a fucking golf ball. I never played golf twice in one fucking game. I was like, mother.
You have PTSD.
That's the point where you have to go Happy Gilmore on them and just kind of just go at them with a hockey stick and
fuck them up.
Every now and then when I'm driving through the golf courses, I drive every day from work to or from the office. If I get the right timing, I'll just hit the horn on them just to get the guy pissed off.
In their backswing, just as they're about to fucking hit the ball.
So, but besides that, but going back to what I was saying, yeah, I'm doing the walking. The walking is awesome. It's just you come back, you burn off some sweat and you clear your mind, and that's one of the other thing that's helping me also during the quarantine, and it's been really well.
That and jerking off.
Nope, I haven't done that.
Oh, you're sustaining your, what is it?
I'm sustaining that, absolutely.
Good man, dude. Good man. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of Mike, you're the one that knows about that. We had that conversation one day. There's a whole, let me tell you, there's a whole like YouTube episode from some doctor that he talks about the negative, what is it, biophysical or pretty much the bad or the wrong. Not the
it's
wrong.
just to a hand.
It's that it releases. You release certain things, and then it's like all of a sudden you're more tired, and it takes a toll on Mike. Please, Mike's drinking water. It's a metaphysical situation. Like something happens to your body afterwards, where all of a sudden it's almost like smoking weed. Like you just don't feel like doing shit. Like you just want to watch TV, maybe get a snack. Mike.
I'm not sure what you're referring to exactly. I mean, I'm sure I could delve into some of the metaphysical aspects
masturbation.
of it.
Well, either
You're
way,
talking about dopamine is what you're talking about.
yes, the release of dopamine in the body and how it then brings you down afterwards.
Of course.
So, yeah, well, obviously, like humans are, we're ruled by emotion. That's like the thing. Like emotions are everything. The reward system of which is ruled by the dopamine neural pathway. It's amazing. It's the thing that gets you to freaking get addicted to gambling or addicted to pretty much anything. It's the reward seeking. Like you're seeking the reward. And when you get the reward, dopamine gets released, you get a little high, and then you just want to do more of that thing. So yeah, I mean, like when people masturbate and the moment when they ejaculate, they release a bunch of hormones. But before then, before the time where people climax, the reward system is activated. So it motivates people to seek out that thing. But it's not actually, it's what motivates people to keep doing the same thing over and over again, even though they know that after they're done, it doesn't bring them that quenching satisfaction that they're looking for. It's almost like it blinds people to what they're actually wanting.
Dopamine's no joke, man. That's how lab rats end up killing themselves. Just they keep pressing that little button and pressing that little button.
Yeah, that's how nowadays how people get with social media. Where young people get with social media when they're expecting to get a like on something, when they're expecting a reply, when they put something out and they get it. Is it the same thing or no?
It is exactly the same thing. And actually, one of the co-founders of Facebook, I forget his name. He's got a long Hindu name, but he spoke publicly about this.
No, I think there's a Brazilian guy. The Brazilian guy here from
No, it's somebody else. You're talking about the original. Mike's talking about
one of the co-creators of Facebook, like, maybe the second string after Mark Zuckerberg and whoever it was. But one of the things that he publicly, shared was that Facebook hires psychologists that are experts in, conditioning, like Pavlov's dog type conditioning response. The same psychologists who were first hired by casinos to help them get people more addicted to their machines and their poker and all that stuff, whatever it is, they hired them to enhance the addictive properties of social media within their apps.
Yep.
As soon as you put a picture, as soon as you're expecting a like, and a lot of the times if it works out for you, it's okay, but you just want to keep doing it and doing it. And I mean, that's one of the effects that it has, but it releases that once you do it. And it's not
and you know what? It's funny because I read an article where it's not even just posting stuff. It's people who go onto their phone to look for, news, TMZ, channel, whatever your local news station is. If you get updates from them, and even going on your Instagram to see what new posts there is and it's not just them posting that gives them that high. It's not looking at their phone for 5 or 7 minutes. The average American looks at their phone every 7 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, is what this was saying. Crazy. So you know what it is? Every 7 minutes.
People have now replaced thinking about sex with checking their phone, right? Because what is it? People think about sex like every 21 seconds.
Yeah. You went from
now they think about Instagram more.
From thinking about titties to thinking about your phone or your status updates and shit like that.
Well, one of the first things that I always said about social media when it first came out is like people get bitter when they look at their people's profiles on Facebook and social media and everything is good. Because you're not going to post anything bad. You're only going to post when you're on vacation. Hey, man, Bahama bound. When you get there, you're going to take a picture of the guy with giving you a drink. And then people that are going through problems are like, what the fuck? I mean, is this really like, am I that fucked up? I look at social media and everybody's having this good time and I'm the one that's having 17 and has 99 problems. It's true. I fucked with people because, I mean, I fucked with me at some time because I remember when social media first came out was during the financial crisis and I had, I got hurt and I would see all these people posting, oye, me voy pa España, me voy pa acá, and I can't even fucking renew my passport. What the fuck is going on here? So you see things like that, and it kind of messes with you because you kind of like, fuck,
And it's all bullshit. At the end of the day, it's all fake. I mean, not all of it, but
now I realize that. But for somebody who's young and doesn't really, doesn't have the same tolerance like that crazy bitch who killed a fucking kid, like that. They see something like that, and it's like, you know, you just
Well, the
never
thing
know
is
what.
also the human brain it's not hardwired for this kind of stimulus.
Oh,
The,
100%.
the, um, the, the volume of stimulus and the quality of the stimulus does not match up to the way that the human brain has experienced life for the last 500,000 to 2 million years.
Right.
You know, if you think about what the average human experiences, it's the things that you can feel with your five senses in your immediate vicinity, not, you know, anything more than 50 miles out, because, you know, gossip does travel far, but it's only going to travel without the internet, without telecommunications. It's going to travel word of mouth or by horseback. You know, somebody sends a horse or owl or whatever. That's what people are used to communicating in, not, you know, this device that now something happens. You know, you guys are in Miami, something happens in New York, something happens in Atlanta, something happens in California, anywhere in the US, you know about it instantly. If it's bad enough, if there's a mass shooting, you know about it, you've heard about it, somebody you know has heard about it, and then they tell you.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is that what we have by way of the internet is a system by which the things that activate our limbic system more are going to get plastered onto. That's where it says where it bleeds, it leads. That's kind of one of the slogans of media. People will pay attention to it because your subconscious thinks it's going to be life-saving information. Because normally, if you're in a tribe and the next door tribe has some crazy warriors that now have decided they want to kill us, that's important information. That's what our brain is seeking out. But now your brain thinks that, you know, there's a mass murder, you know, like, for example, like the murder hornets, you know, the Japanese killer bees or wasps that came to Washington. You know how far Washington state is? And yet people were freaking out because, oh my God, now we have these giant hornets. What are we going to do? Like,
that
dude,
killed a rat.
How about you wait till those hornets get to like Colorado first, then maybe start thinking about it.
Let's get a stimulus plan going in the meantime.
For the murder hornets. People are buying toilet paper already for the murder hornets. They're going to attack our toilet paper supply.
One of my cousins was in high school or just right after high school. His girlfriend broke up with him. And usually, at least back in our days, if you break up with a girlfriend, nobody would know unless it was a girlfriend's friend. Or maybe I told you, or maybe I told my mom, or whatever.
You wouldn't know who she's dating or who she's talking to.
But immediately when he broke up with her, she broke up with him, everybody knew about it. Everybody was chatting about it immediately. That's devastating. That's like
that's rough.
It is rough.
And then he sees her page going out, hanging out with friends, and maybe not even with a guy, just with friends, and immediately that starts fucking with his brain. I'm sure as a kid.
Drives you fucking insane. And if somebody tells you, be strong, be strong, be strong. Like he was saying, like Mike was saying earlier, your brain was programmed originally to eat, to sleep, to make sure nobody kills you and survive. You know, it's the main functions. And all of a sudden it's like, deal with all this other crap.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about it.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's why I am the way I am with my kids in social media. I mean, my son's 19 now. I think from our understanding, because again, kids are sneaky. It wasn't until he was a senior in high school, if I'm not mistaken, that he got his Instagram. And with my daughter, she's 16. She got her Instagram last year as I think the beginning of her sophomore year of high school. And even then, man, we monitor it. We try to monitor it. We stay on top of it because you never know. And then it's the stimulus that these kids get, or the negative stimulus that they get from it. And if it fucks with adults, think about it that way. Like you said, like, you know, 2008, the economy crashed. You had these people still traveling to fucking Spain or whatever the fuck. And you know what the funny thing is? That those are people that are probably maxing out their credit cards before they file for bankruptcy or doing shady shit on the side. I mean, the reason you're still a mortgage broker was because the fucking illegal ones or the ones that were committed fraud got weeded out. And you and plenty of others were what was left. And you guys legitimately had to fucking struggle and build your shit back up. But to me, social media, I have an acquaintance that him and his wife were having, they were having some issues. They were having trouble in their marriage. And they went to a marriage counselor. They sat down. And one of the main things that this marriage counselor said was, and he was very straight up and blunt. He's like, here's the program. Here's how this is going to work. But if you don't follow it to the T, this isn't going to work. And one of the first things that person told them to do was get off social media. For the next 3 months, social media does not exist to YouTube.
Unless you have a legitimate business that you advertise through there and you pay for your
aside from that, which ironically enough they did.
Even then,
yeah,
even
but
then you can outsource that.
Yeah. So which is what he did. He had someone else dealing with the social media for his business. But for 3 months, nothing. They didn't touch social media. Needless to say, they're still not. It's been a couple of years. They're still not on social media. He said it. I saw him at a party. It was, like mutual friends. Everybody was talking shit, and he was very open about it. And he was like, it changed our perspectives. All of a sudden, she wasn't worried about what these people were doing and he was like, even me, kind of like, man, his issue was he was constantly looking at friends who were like out having drinks and partying and this and that. And he was, at home with his wife and, his newborn kid at the time, and kind of like hating on the friend and hating on your situation, where little did he know that those friends are, out having fun, and they have a pissed off wife who's probably cheating on them or whatever the fuck at home because they're out. So the wife is out. And it just wasn't a positive situation to be in. Speculating there. But he says that getting off social media as a couple changed their perspective and allowed them to kind of focus on each other more and not worry about the outside fucking world and what was happening out there.
I look at my phone, like he was saying earlier, like everybody sees their phone every 7 minutes. I do, but I check my email and my text most of the time. That's it. I mean, if I want to look at Twitter and stuff like that, I'll look at it later just to see the news or whatever. But I scroll through it. I don't get that into it because a lot of the times you see these comments that you're like, if you really want to get into it, drive you fucking insane.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like I just look at it, maybe browse, maybe if I want to see something sports related or something for a little while. But I'm mostly replying emails and replying text messages to clients.
Could you imagine being famous and having your social media and stuff like that, and people are always talking shit about you? Like, how do you stay off? Like that must be fucked up. That must be difficult to do. If you're like a Donald Trump or someone, you can tell that dude goes through as much negative shit about him.
But Trump's old school. I'm talking about like the Kardashians and the Kardashian sisters and stuff like that. Those are the ones that are a different generation. Trump's from the born in the 40s and shit.
Yeah, but those chicks are different. Those chicks know that they get hated on, and I don't think those chicks pay much attention to like the negativity. Like, they aren't dumb.
Right, and what social media allows you to do is unfollow people that are giving you shit. So all you hear and see is positive shit. Yeah. The people who tells you something you don't want to hear, fuck it, unfollow them.
Yeah, but that's what for us it would be like what, one or two people. For a Kardashian, you're talking about thousands of people that are probably hating on them on a fucking daily basis. Like, listen to me, those chicks, God bless them. I think the mom's a genius, and they're all business women. And as much flack as they get, like, dude, the Kardashians are legit fucking billionaires. Am I like, or close to it? And one of them is a billionaire, and it's Kylie. Yeah, I think it's Kylie.
Well, not only were they dealt a great hand, but then they played it perfectly.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about everything that's happened to them, they've been able to start multiple businesses and see them through to massive success. I mean, one of them that owns that makeup brand just sold it for like, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars. Was it like $1 billion? I think. Yeah. The youngest one. A 51% stake in her company for like 1.2 billion. I don't know the number, but it's something ridiculous like that.
And that's the baby. That's the youngest one.
And then and then she's married to Kanye. That Kanye is worth a billionaire too. And so it's like,
yeah. But dude, the genius to me is the mom. Like, the mom's the one that, and people give her a hard time because they say that she exploits, her kids and shit like that.
But we all know how that really started.
Yeah, but how many people don't have, porns that get leaked? How many?
I don't know.
Famous, several. I mean, look.
They were successful business people before that sex tape was leaked.
Well, they were.
I mean, not to this level.
Exposure. They had like their clothing line and stuff like that. I remember.
Yeah, like they had their stores. Like, I think Dash.
No, Kardashian was a closet fixer. She used to fix people's closets. No.
Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. The dad was like an entertainment lawyer or whatever, but
the dad left the money too.
Dude, they parlayed that shit into Kanye West has that line. My wife's. What'd you say, Mike?
He was a lawyer for O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
he
Well, no,
left money, bro. He left
no,
plenty of money.
but he wasn't even. That's a misconception. He was O.J. Simpson's best friend, who just happened to be a lawyer. Like the Robert Kardashian never once did anything for OJ's defense, as his defense team. All he did was just kind of sit there and he helped him put together like the dream team, as they said. But the only reason I know this shit is because I watched that fucking Made in America documentary. That shit was
But
fascinating.
there's a really there's a really good chance when he passed away, he left a good amount of money. He left 2 life insurance policies. He left them good.
But it was up to them to take that money, like Mike said, and turn that shit into something. Because how many assholes don't get left with $3 million and then that shit's blown? Especially rich kids, especially kids who grow up with silver spoons in their mouth. Like, they don't know what it's like to hustle and to grind.
No, the mom's really ambitious, dude. You got to give her that.
Yeah. And people think it's exploiting. I think she, like, enabled those kids. Like, not enabled, the opposite of exploit. She basically gave
really
them a platform. Them. She empowered them.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Exactly. Yeah. She empowered them, but at the same time, make sure to leak the tape. Leak the tape, then we'll empower you. We'll keep empowering after.
What were you saying, Mike?
I mean, but there's a few people who tried to leak a tape and they tried to do a similar thing, but that's what gives me proof that it wasn't a tape that allowed them to be successful. Because, I mean, think about, like, for example, like Paris Hilton, right? She had a sex tape.
Yep.
He did not. I mean, obviously she
ain't a billionaire.
Came from money. But,
well, her dad, her family is. I mean, it was a freaking Hilton Hotels. Yeah. I mean,
right.
She stands to inherit money one day. There's no drive on her because these people didn't have they don't come from a platform of wealth like that.
Yeah, but the Kardashians don't come from that kind of wealth.
I know they don't, but Hilton does.
Yeah. Oh shit.
I mean,
her grandma was Zsa Zsa Gabor.
So I love stories of people who come up from basically nothing. And one of the stories that I've been paying attention to lately, who just got his biggest break, our boy Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
With this $100 million deal. I mean, come on, man.
100 million.
One of the things that's really interesting is that you have someone who's like Joe Rogan. He's kind of for free speech. He's a comedian. Obviously, he's for free speech, but he's got a huge following, not just on YouTube, but also on the Apple podcast and anywhere podcasts are broadcasted. People are listening to, going to his shows, going to the UFC, obviously getting more into it because he's a UFC commentator. And now, I wonder, like, I would love for him to speak a little bit, like, once he's already at Spotify, and maybe he'll delve into it and like leak some of the reasons why. But if you notice, YouTube has been playing Big Brother a little bit lately and censoring people, kicking people off. Obviously, the coronavirus is a delicate situation. You don't want people just spreading bad information, and you have all these dummies across the United States acting on that bad information. But some people are speculating that Joe Rogan took this $1 million Spotify exclusive deal, meaning starting September 1st, all of his shows, starting from episode 1, are going to be available on Spotify. They're all going to go on there. And sometime towards the end of the year, I mean, this is part of his statement, towards the end of the year, his podcast is not going to be available anywhere else, not on YouTube, not on Apple, not anywhere. And you'll still find clips of them on YouTube, but the full episodes will only be available on Spotify. So in order to listen to it, and think about all these people who are definitely going to I downloaded Spotify the next day, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to start getting back into Spotify. And they are giving him creative license. He's not going to be censored. He can talk about whatever he wants to talk about.
Cut. He has final cut.
He's like Howard Stern in a way. Like Howard Stern did his thing. I mean, Howard Stern got a huge contract from Sirius, and Howard Stern was one of those few guys that did whatever he wanted. He was like out there just bringing on the KKK guy and fucking everything on his show.
Let me ask you this though: has he gotten bigger than Howard Stern?
I think he has.
I think he has too.
Howard Stern faded away because he never kept that same thing. He kept, from what he started, he ended up just changing as he went, and it didn't. I think personally, I don't think it resonated that well.
I think Howard Stern got older and evolved without to unbeknownst to him, he began to evolve and was he did it late in life, and didn't feel stimulated by the shit he was doing. Like there's only so many smallest dick in New York contests you could fucking do before you're kind of like, all right, onto the, like,
I remember every girl that would come on the show. So, are you into anal? Ask anybody who was on the show. You into anal?
After a while, it kind of gets old to the audience. It gets old to him.
He just
Joe
didn't
Rogan
do it anymore. It just it changed. It was like,
well, he's still on there. Like, he's still on Sirius. They still
heard of him in a while, dude. He's not the
they
same.
still pay him, but to me, Joe Rogan right now is the epitome of podcasting and even media right now, as far as talk show hosts. Like you above fucking Oprah, above like Joe Rogan. How many? It's like an absurd amount of downloads a week of his show. I mean, the fucking guy had Elon Musk smoking weed on his show.
Right.
Elon Musk.
Right. It might get to the point that he'll get so big, and then like everything else, when he gets so big, they're going to want to know, what side are you on? Or what do you like more? Whatever. When he gets that big, whatever.
He's open about that. Like that's the thing. Joe Rogan, that he's fucking kind of liberal on some things, more conservative on others, like a normal human being. Where what's
interesting about the Joe Rogan podcast is that it's the maximum amount of authenticity and very little prep work. I mean, if you look at like the early Joe Rogan episodes, it was him, Brian Redban, a bunch of comedians would come on and they would just shoot the shit and just talk shit, talk about funny stuff, talk about the news. Eventually he had some interesting guests on, but it still was just, comedians on there. And eventually, like even now, like how much work does he do? I mean, if he has a guest who wrote a book, he might try to read the guy's book,
Doesn't even read the whole book.
Yeah, he just reads enough to be able to talk about it for a few. But I mean, he's basically making money by sitting down and talking to people for 2 to 3 hours straight with no breaks. And, it's not like they have to do a ton of research. He just sits down as long as Jamie takes care of the tech and their podcast can stream live and then get uploaded. I mean, that's it. That's where the work is. Other than that, he goes, he sits down, he does the podcast,
cool.
he leaves.
And to fill it in, he's cool. You look at him, he's a cool guy. He's a likable guy. You add all that into the mix, and it's just, he's a cool guy. He's buena gente. That's what you want.
You could tell Joe Rogan probably first and foremost doesn't have an agenda of any kind. You come on his show, he's just going to shoot the shit with you. Like he's literally just talking to you. That's it. And if he has you on the show, it's not because of public pressure. It's not because of it's because he finds you interesting and he wants to have you on the show. I mean, you hear David Letterman talking, and David Letterman would get like sometimes just annoyed at the guests that they would book because he was just genuinely he didn't give a fuck what Zac Efron had for lunch or what movie Zac Efron was doing, because fucking David Letterman wasn't going to watch High School Musical.
Right, and he worked for a network. He was hired by a network, and he had to do it.
And that's what Joe Rogan hates. That's why Joe Rogan left Fear Factor, and that's why he stopped doing TV shows and movies. Joe Rogan likes to be loose. Like whatever the fuck I want to talk about is what I'm going to talk about, and that's it.
On NBC or CBS or whoever. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I
give him credit on that.
Big ups to Joe Rogan, man. Those are squad goals right there. Like to fucking to get to that point where. Listen, I'll take a quarter of that. I'll take a 1% of that shit at this point. Like it all started off like Mike said, just him and a couple of his buddies talking shit. $100 million later.
No, and he had money already. He's made money already in the past, so he's good.
So he makes it look easy, but there are some components about the content of his podcast that are actually pretty brilliant. It's a multi-dimensional content stream. He does have comedians that just come in and provide free laughs, right? And it opens up the conversation, right? So you have a broad, set of topics you can talk about. He has fighters on, which that brings a completely different audience from the UFC world. So it's like another huge atmosphere of people. And then he has another group. He has like a lot of journalists and political types on. I mean, he's had on Bernie Sanders. He's had on Andrew Yang. He's had on a couple other political candidates.
Gabby.
And then
what's it? Gabby.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard. There you go.
Yeah. and she's a congressman from Hawaii.
Yeah.
And he had on Dan Crenshaw recently. He's a congressman from
That dude's a
Texas.
stud.
Yeah, and honestly, like every time he has someone on that hasn't had that kind of platform and exposure to that many people, they end up blowing up because the momentum of the podcast has allowed it such that the audience will just trust it. If it's somebody new, at least for me, when I like, let's say there's a new episode out, first thing I do before I start listening is I'll look at the description. Is it a comedian? Okay, I'm good. I'm just not into comedians that much, unless it's like specific ones. Like Ari Shaffir is pretty funny, Duncan Trussell. But if it's like a scientist, some random archaeologist comes on, I'm like, oh, what the heck is this? I'm
Into
gonna
that
press
nerd
play.
shit.
Yeah, and so
Well,
there's a little bit for everyone.
Right, because he's diverse. Because look, at the same time, you can see a politician, you can see a businessman like Elon Musk, you can see Mark Cuban, you can see a comedian. At the same time, I was one of the first ones I saw with, and Josue knows, is the one that he did about the wrestlers, about Andre the Giant and Jake the Snake Roberts. He had Jake the Snake Roberts on, and he told an awesome story about Andre the Giant, and I was like so fucking glued to it, whether you like it or not. He told the story. It was a brief story. He said the story that he was driving in Florida somewhere from Tampa to somewhere. It was like a 6-hour car ride, and Andre the Giant drank 2 cases of beer and didn't piss once. And
Joe Rogan laughing
Jake the
his ass
Snake,
off, like, what the fuck?
And no, he drank 1 case. There was 24 fucking beers, a lot of beers.
Yeah,
Guys. I've drank 2 already, and I've gone to the bathroom 3 times. And Jake the Snake drank 1 6-pack, and he had to pull over 3 times. And Jake the Snake's a big guy. Andre the Giant just drank 24 beers, and fuck it, don't stop. Keep going, keep going.
That's a strong seal, man.
Yeah,
it's not breaking
Yeah.
it.
fucking 7. What is it? 7'2".
7'4".
7'4", 450 pounds.
He
But-
had the
but-
story where he drank 120 beers in 1 seating.
We can't get Lewis started on Andre the Giant stories, bro. You won't shut the fuck up about Andre the Giant story.
Think about it. It's
So
100
Andre the
beers.
Giant's a real person?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, of course.
He was a real person. He was a wrestler, French wrestler, who had giantism. So he had like this.
In what year? In what year was this?
80s,
70s and 80s.
70s, and 80s.
Okay.
But he's a legend, man. He's if you look him up, Google Andre the Giant after this shit, you'll see Andre the Giant. And he, like, the stories of Andre the Giant are just legendary. Like it's almost like the Chuck Norris stories and shit.
Exactly.
But yeah, like going back to Joe Rogan, that's just indicative of his like
Getting
his
back to what I was saying, I said
versatility.
how diverse he is.
Yeah.
That's one of the episodes that caught my attention to keep watching him, because I was like, coño, bro, this guy doesn't see these people.
But he'll have a conversation with Jake the Snake Roberts just the same way he'll have a conversation with Tulsi Gabbard, or he'll have a conversation with Elon Musk. The dude is, and you know what I love when he talks to some of these scientists, and he's not like your regular interviewer who feels like they have this certain ego where if they don't understand what you're saying, they're just gonna nod and be like, oh, okay. Like he'll just literally be like, listen, I'm an ape. Can you break that down to me? Because I don't understand. What does that mean? What's that word mean? Transgenic euphorium. And then the person will break it down. And then everybody listening to the show is like, fucking thank you, Joe. I have no idea what the fuck that meant.
Because a lot of people are afraid to say when they don't understand the big word.
Yeah, just ego. His ego's not there. And in that sense, and we all have ego, but that's what I love about it.
So part, and that's a good point, because there's a certain amount of humility where the ego doesn't get in the way. Because I think, if you're trying to prove a point, or you're trying to, come across a certain way, your ego is going to protect you and it's going to try to help you out there. But, part of what I think that is, and this is just my speculation, is the fact that the dude is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So in order to become a black belt, like you start off Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as a white belt, you know nothing about basically, cutting off dudes' oxygen supplies and making them pass out, or getting them in a weird arm bar or something, and until they tap out. When you start, so I've tried to start Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 3 times already, and I tried it for a month, and I come back, get with bruises and get beat up. When you first start, you are not winning any argument. It's basically an argument. You grapple with somebody, it's like, I'm gonna try to choke you out. You're gonna try to choke me out. It's a body language argument. And you're going to lose that argument badly every single time. So your ego eventually is like, all right, I'm not going to put up any false pretenses. If I know I can't choke you out, I'm not going to pretend that I'm just all of a sudden going to learn this thing, choke you out. And I think that it translates over to communication, Because if you're talking like when he's talking to Neil deGrasse Tyson, an astrophysicist who studied under the great Carl Sagan, I mean, you're not going to teach Neil deGrasse Tyson anything about how the stars move or about what happens to the earth when it moves around. Like, no, forget about it. He just gets owned every time. And it's interesting to watch him just get destroyed, like, and in a good way, because when Neil deGrasse Tyson comes on and he just like, what do you want to ask me any question? Ask me anything you want to know. And then Joe Rogan's like, all right, well, how does gravity work?
Yeah, he learns
like,
from
all right.
that. He learns from shit like that. Absolutely.
Yep. That comes with humility, man. That you do not know everything. And that this person is going to come in and they're going to fucking school you. You're going to have your opinion or you're going to have your thoughts on something. And then they're totally going to be like today I was listening to him speaking with this journalist, and they were talking about, and it was funny to hear the conversation. Joe Rogan was talking about Joe Biden, and Joe Biden damn near having, what's that shit called? Dementia already, and like forgetting shit. So the guy who he was talking to,
Guys, give me 1 second, okay?
yeah, go. I have to see what this dude's name. I should have had this guy's name ready before I started talking about him. But either way, the journalist is like, all right, you do understand that that's an 80-year-old man, though, right? And Joe Rogan was like, yeah, I understand. And he's like, so just think about an 80-year-old man and everything that Joe Biden needs to remember, everything that Joe Biden, like every conversation Joe Biden has, he's being challenged constantly. And he's an 80-year-old man. He's like, most 80-year-old men I know are sitting on, fucking recliners watching fucking TV. Joe Biden is out doing, all sorts of shit. So I could see where, as he's talking to Joe Rogan, David Pakman.
David Pakman.
David Pakman. Did you hear that interview?
I heard the first 30 minutes of it. So yeah, I heard that part.
So they were talking about it, and Joe Rogan was kind of like, all right, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that does make sense. And it anybody else would have just steadfast been like, yeah, but fuck that shit. He's got fucking, he's got dementia, which I think he does. I think he's in the early fucking stages of it. But Joe Rogan didn't, he backed down. He was kind of like, all right, yeah, you know what? That's a good point. And I admire that shit because that's just being a normal human being. Like, sometimes you're wrong, or sometimes someone's opinion. Remember when he used to be a flat earther? No, not flat earther. The moon landing. He was always challenging. Yes.
Oh.
No, he was challenging the moon landing. And then finally someone came in and they were like, okay, Joe. And he was like, oh, fuck.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, I believe that.
Was it Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah, of course.
It was
like the second time Neil was on, and he basically just explained to him all the facts, all the things that we know. Now, one thing that I think that Neil deGrasse was saying, because obviously if you're going to speak honestly, first of all, if you weren't on that ship that went to the moon, you cannot be 100% sure that those people went to the moon, right? Like, let's just start with that. Maybe you might be 99.99% sure. But what Neil was saying was that we definitely have the technology to go to the moon, and we definitely did have that technology and capability at the time when that was publicized. It is marginally possible that the footage that we were first given about the moon was reproduced after the fact or right before the fact, to make it look nicer or whatever. And it wasn't the raw footage of them at the moon. And that would be a travesty because we actually were able to go to the moon starting back then.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that there are a lot of people that point out interesting things, like the whole,
haven't been back. That we haven't been back.
Haven't been back. Well, if you just look at the footage itself, there's the astronaut planting the American flag into the ground of the moon, and the flag is waving like there's some kind of wind. But what Neil deGrasse is saying, a lot of people say, is like, hey, the gravity is different on the moon, and the wind, the moon doesn't have an atmosphere the way that the Earth does. That's why there's so many craters, because when meteors and stuff approach the Earth's orbit, they burn in the atmosphere. As they go through, there's a ton of oxygen, the speed, the gravity, it burns off, and then you just get these little pieces of meteor sand. But when they go to the moon, they just crash right through. So that's why the moon looks like a ball of cheese. So, when these astronauts were over there, and they have the footage of them planting the flag, it shouldn't have the same motion as it would have if you were planting a flag here on Earth. Like, there's no wind on the moon. So that's why there's a lot of people that are like, that's a fake video. Eddie Bravo comes on. He's like, yeah, no, that's fake. We didn't go to the moon. The Earth is flat. And so,
or maybe it was the beginning of MTV Music, the astronaut when he gets on there.
That was not a real moon landing. That's for fucking sure.
I know.
But
Let's I had another question that I had for you guys. Anybody binge watch any old school shows? Because I know I did.
right now, I'm binge watch. I just finished binge watching
Yes or no?
Entourage.
Yes or no?
Yes, Entourage in The Office for me.
Sir,
How about you, Mike?
Michael?
I haven't binge watched any old shows.
No?
This guy just watches porn all day.
There we go.
Yeah, for sure, all day. Right?
And
I
it's
actually have
so
one
healthy.
playing in the background on the left, just to keep it going.
He's whacked off twice already throughout the entire fucking podcast.
Exactly, because he has the power of yoga and allows people to release.
He's doing it with his feet.
It's like Kundalini yoga, man. Come on, you guys gotta get with the program.
Like Finch in American Pie. Yeah, there was so you had which one? Entourage and which other one?
Entourage in
be
The
honest.
Office.
Don't
In
try
The
to be
Office.
cool. Okay.
No, Entourage in The Office, man. That's what I've been watched, and now I'm getting. I'm trying to finish off Frasier.
Oh, okay. There we go. I did.
Oh, actually,
go ahead.
I will
Go
tell
ahead,
you
Mike.
guys that a couple months ago, I started watching a really old show, very successful show. And let's see if you guys can guess who it is. There's a very famous actor on it named Ted Danson or Ted.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes.
There you go.
I started watching Cheers for the
Cheers
first
is
time because I
awesome.
saw so many people know what Cheers is about. I'm like, man, what is this thing? Cheers. I went to Boston, and my friends and I went to the Cheers, like the little restaurant. We ate there. It was great. We took pictures. They knew what it was about. I'm like, guys, why are you making such? It's just Cheers. I'm like, oh no, man, you don't know. You haven't seen the show.
It's
I'm
a
like,
legendary
all right, fine, I
show.
guess. Yeah, no, the show is funny. Like, it's actually a really good show.
A bunch of middle class people that show up after work and drink. It's like shit.
And it's still funny today.
It is, absolutely.
If you start watching it, it's still
Because
funny
it's
today.
It's a real show. It's like, look, I'll tell you from the beginning. I started binge watching, like you said, Entourage again, because I saw Entourage again. I started watching it again. I started watching episodes of Cops, and I have a 24/7 Cops
outta
that
here.
goes from 1980 something all the way to the current time. So I've been watching Cops. People get arrested, all the way from again typical cop episode. Do you guys watch Cops or no?
I think
I've
everybody
seen
watched
so
Cops
many
at some
episodes.
point.
Where they pull the guy over. Hey, is this your car? Of course it's my car. You got anything in the car? No. Okay. I'm looking at the registration. Whose car is this? It's not mine. Do you have anything in the car? No. What's on
The drugs aren't his. Every episode's the same though of Cops.
whose gun is this? Right.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I was watching, the third show that I've been watching for a long time. Again, I love other ones, but the one I've been watching because I have on the cable is Three's Company.
That's an old. That's in the 70s, dude.
Yeah, bro. Late 70s, early 80s. I did
I can't relate to that shit.
It's hilarious. Fucking funny as shit. You guys never watched
What's the maintenance man's name again? Schneider?
Don Knotts.
No, the maintenance guy. Isn't it Schneider? Don Knotts is the
landlord. He's the manager
landlord.
for the landlord.
Yeah.
It's,
No, but Schneider's like the guy, the maintenance man, right? Or no, that's another
the owner,
show.
the one that lives downstairs.
Yeah. Oh man, that's.
I've been watching those three shows like non-fucking stop, and it's just.
Hey, Netflix right now, man. Netflix, their usership went up a lot. Like they had to like completely redo their. Was it you that told me that, Mike? That they had to their what's it called? Not their platform, but where they get all the traffic. They had to like completely like redo that shit because of all the traffic that was coming in. I think it was the bandwidth. I don't know. That's the fucking genius bar dork shit. But it's Netflix is the shit right now, man. I think I've been through even movies that I would have never have thought that I'd sit down and watch. I've watched at some point or another. And even Frasier, I never thought I would like that show. I've literally watched it. I have 12 episodes left of the last season because the fucking season's like 25 episodes long. That was back in the day, like late 90s, early 2000s.
My wife and I started watching Schitt's Creek.
I love that show.
Schitt's Creek's pretty good.
That's a brave show, man.
Yeah, it's a pattern because a lot of the shows, at least that I enjoy, that I think that are mostly entertaining, are like another one that I watch is Mike and Molly. It's mostly middle class people living their day to day. I mean, to me, I don't really care to watch like somebody who's extremely wealthy. on a day-to-day basis say, "Oh my God, what Hermes purse do I want to buy today?"
What's a podcast for the most part? What's our podcast for the most part?
Exactly.
Regular everyday fucking people talking shit, and people listen to us because we average about 2,000 listeners nationwide that are bored as fuck and are listening to us.
99% of the people are like that. Whatever they put on their social media, that's who they are.
All right, but, hey, let's get to love letters. Yeah. All right, Mike, are you familiar with the way the love letters work?
No, sir. What is love letters?
Our love letters can be sarcastic, or they can be legit love letters to someone who, you could say this love letter goes out to my mom for, sending me up some rice and beans to Tampa. She froze them. She sent them to me. God bless her. Blah, blah, blah. Or my love letter, for example, my love letters to the IRS. Thank you, IRS, for completely forgetting about me. I haven't received a stimulus check of any kind. I haven't even received my fucking tax returns of any kind. They're not much, but as long as I'm not paying, I'm happy. So the IRS, I feel like that redheaded stepchild just gets left in the fucking park. So thank you, IRS. My neighbors, my cousin who fucking makes twice as much as I do, he got a stimulus check, not much, but whatever. Still, just I feel forgotten. So IRS, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly. # bottom of the pile.
Seriously. All right, Luis, your turn.
Mine, I just want to thank ESPN for The Last Dance.
So yours is the actual legit positive love letter.
Absolutely. Because I honestly thought when I first, saw the beginning of it, it was when they started explaining it on the shows on ESPN. It was like, oh, we're going to talk about the 97-98 season. And I thought that's all that we're going to talk about. And when you put it on, it's everything from beginning to end, which is in the back of your mind.
They curse.
Really wanted, huh?
And they curse.
Exactly. And it's in the back of your mind. And Jordan, and the other thing about Jordan is that Jordan is similar to kind of like the way I am. He just lets it out. He doesn't give a shit.
Fucking asshole. That's what he's trying. That's what he's trying to say, Mike.
He's not an asshole. It's just he's who he is. I mean, he did exactly. He didn't bullshit. He doesn't try to sugarcoat it to make anybody happy.
Well, yeah. Listen, I love assholes, man. I get along with assholes better than I do with fake ass people who pretend to be sweet and nice.
He has a cigar going. He has a scotch there, and he doesn't give a fuck. And it was just really entertaining. It was really good. Everybody was curious about that. And it also created the Twitter war or Facebook war, whatever, between LeBron James and him. Like, everybody started putting out, I think he's better because he averaged X amount of points during this year. And if you compare Jordan's that year back in the days, and it's entertaining. It's
waste my time with that argument between Jordan and fucking James.
It's entertainment. It creates likes. It creates looks, especially now that everybody wants to see it, read about it.
So, Mike, we're going to put you on the spot. Can you think of a love letter?
Oh, yeah, easily, man. I have a perpetual love letter going out to all the hospital workers and first responders, man. I did a stint at the hospital for a couple years. It's some of the hardest work I've ever done in my life, and I've done a lot of different jobs. But the fact that people can still continue to go to work at the hospital now, despite the crazy amount of uncertainty, facing an invisible enemy, and just putting on their uniform and going to work every day, 12-hour shifts, not just the nurses and doctors, because of course they're dealing with the medication and all that stuff, but just anybody who works in there, man. Like, there's people who go in there whose sole job is to go in after a sick patient leaves a room, and they have to wipe down the entire room and sanitize it. And they're the cleanup crew, environmental, they just, so yeah, my love letter goes out to them, man. Like, that's honestly, like, that's courage, day to day, and they're not just doing it because they have to put food on the table. I'm sure it's their job, but a lot of these people that go and they do it because it's like, that's their calling. They're there to do the job that needs to be done. They're nice. While a lot of people are running out of a burning building, they're running straight into it every day, and they do what needs to be done. So that's where my love letter goes.
Nice. And a group love letter, and on behalf of the After 5 podcast, with keeping to the theme of this weekend, Memorial Day is on Monday, to all the men and women who have lost their lives, protecting this country, protecting our freedoms, and, standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. I sure as shit don't have the balls or the heart to go stand on a wall somewhere or to go overseas and protect this country. Those are different type of human beings, man. So a lot of love and a lot of respect to those who are doing it right now. and who have done it in the past. You are underappreciated by far and by many. But as far as I'm concerned, and I think I can speak for everybody on this panel and for the After Five podcast, we love you and thank you for everything you've done for our country and continue to do for our country. So, all right, boys.
Amen to that.
That was a good one, man. Shit, we ran damn near 2 hours in this bitch.
Actually, we're gonna break this one up into 2 or 3 episodes.
We might have to do that. And and it went seamless, man. We were just talking shit.
It doubles Mike's exposure or triples it.
Yeah, right there, Mike. You're gonna be on. We're gonna do this shit like the Last Dance on ESPN. It's gonna be a 5-part series. But thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Mike, for coming on. Putting yourself away from the rainforest. I'm sure you were ziplining, before you came on the fucking show.
I'm about to go jump into that hot tub back there in a second.
But thank you everybody, all the After Fivers out there, for listening to us and for all the great messages you send and emails and your opinions, whether good or bad. Hey, keep sending them. Please catch us on YouTube. We're now on YouTube, so please subscribe. Go on there. You can see our pretty faces, or at least Lewis's pretty face, and now Mike's pretty face. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, you name it. If you can listen to a podcast on it, we are on that bitch. We love you. Always lead with love. Thank you, gentlemen. Go fuck yourselves. Stay on. Don't log off.
Likewise.
Okay.